The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
This is PBA champion Kyle Troop.
Hey y'all, Jacob Westrup here.
Jeff Riggles here from 11thframe.com.
Hey guys, Chuck Ritchie here, formerly of Bowl TV.
Hey guys, this is Ryan Schaefer of track staff at Valley Bowling Center in Waverly, New York.
And you're listening to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Yo, the boys from Straight Up 5, Rad Rob, Dr. Ocho, and of course JP Jr.
Pick it out. Fear the fro, baby.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only cover all things bowling, but will also give you a raw look into real-life issues. You'll get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this or any other generation.
Strike, and they claim it. Similarly, he does it.
So without further ado, let's introduce you to the hosts of the show. Rad Rob Francois. Rad Rob Francois. Dr. Ocho. And the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr. Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. I, of course, am your host, Rad Rob Francois. I am dodging tornadoes left and right. Haven't seen my car yet. Hopefully there's no hail damage, as we had about golf ball size hail. Or that was just Ocho shooting off the 17th. What am I doing? Del Picard, what's going on? Adam Gretzky in the house. What's up, great one? Nico Puhar, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Steph, my love, thank you. Appreciate that. We got a very special guest tonight. It is his second appearance on our show. Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate it. Welcome. He was on early on in our show. I want to say within the first 20 episodes, I believe. When Johnny was still out in Vegas. They co-piloted a show here together, sharing one earbud or earphone. But that was quite a while ago. But before we bring him out, we're going to have a lengthy 35-minute highlight video. But I'm also going to show... I see Ocho shaking his head. I also have to bring in our first co-host here. He is the man with the brand new mask. It's got an O on it for Ocho or zero for zero. I don't know. But he has the largest arms on this show. He is the resident house hack. He is also the resident doctor of Straight Up 5. He's flexing. I can see him in a little window down here. He's flexing. Oh, he lost his flex. I think I took too long. Maybe he needs, we need to get Blue Chew as a sponsor. Maybe that'll take care of that. Here he is, the one and only Dr. Ocho III. What's going on, Dr. Ocho?
That was the worst intro, but that's what you're good at, giving literally the worst intros ever. It's part of your lore. And can you start doing another bad intro for the next guy we have?
The next guy that we have, he's the one that pays the bills around here. He is the one everybody comes to see. His bowling balls bring everybody to the yard. He is the sexiest man in the world. He is the second best Petraglia in the world. Oh, hey, Johnny. It's Johnny Petraglia Jr. What's going on, JP? Oh, third. Sorry, behind your mom. Sorry, obviously.
Definitely got to give kudos to my sister. I'll take.
Oh, and your sister too. All right, well, you're the fourth. You're the fourth then. So, yeah.
Another fantastic day. Glad you're safe. Thank goodness.
Thanks, bro.
I know it's no joke down there. I mean, that's like. I mean, it's not quite Kansas, but it's still a dangerous zone. So hopefully everything is safe to you and everybody around you, starting all the way in Georgia, reading that tracker. So
it's crazy. Like when they say tornado watch, we're like, okay, tornado warning. We're like, all right, we'll be watching out. But when they move up to a tornado emergency, which is the first time I've ever heard that on TV, that means they actually had one touchdown, and you're fucked. So
I lived in Atlanta. It's fine. I had sirens going off. The freaking horns are going off. It's ripping the trees off halfway up, but you can't rip these off. So I was like, bring it on, Mr. Tornado. I
thought that was you ripping the trees out. That wasn't you ripping the trees out due to your roid rage?
roid rage. I'm a calm guy. What are you talking about?
Hasn't been to the gym in 3 years.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, Chris Mansella, just reading this real quick. I lose to Marvin every single Monday, so it's really not like that bad.
Good run, Chris.
It's
Good
not
run.
that big of an issue. It's kind of normal. And Marvin can also fix your boat, your house, if you have mildew in the backyard, your
bowling
car battery,
pins, the machines,
alter your shoes. So Marvin's like legit the jack of all trades. You know.
Nico says I come here for the guests. Obviously, he gives not a shit about any of us.
But he comes here every week, so I actually don't care if he gives a shit about us or not.
That's fair. That's fair.
I still kind of badass. So.
That's fair. All right. Well,
as you said, Rad Rob, super duper excited for the second time to welcome one of my favorite people on planet Earth. And aside from that, obviously, we have a lot more to talk about on this show with him as compared to last time, considering what he's done. So,
oh yeah, dude.
I'm assuming you do have like a 65 or 70-minute highlight reel. So if you want to,
I've condensed it down to 7 minutes, so we're good on that. But it was a lot of editing.
We're getting bombarded by this beautiful sweetheart Gabriella, and she's rocking at the ripe old age of 1.5 this half up, half down hairdo, and it's super duper badass. And all she wants to do is come in here and play tambourine for us, which, you know, one of these days we really should just bring her on because I'm assuming it would at least increase the ratings somewhat. But
it would, and she'd be more entertaining than Ocha.
Yeah, but anyway, we had to at least do that. So,
all right,
without further ado, as we always do what you got to do.
Here we go. Here is a highlight video from the man of the hour, Marshall Kent. Let's fucking go.
And 5 PBA Tour titles and $30,000 going home with America Rooster Illusion.
And the classy Martin Larson, first player to come over and congratulate the Roosters.
One heck of an effort. Just got to wait for Marshall Kent to pick up the spare. Randy Pierce is going to head down and get an interview with a player from the winning team, along with we'll get the trophy.
And Randy Peterson heading down the lanes to get an interview with our winner, Marshall Kent. Marshall taking home his third career PBA title, and no better place to do it here than in Lubbock, Texas. Another first-time winner in the U.S. Here, third year in a row. EJ Tacken won his first title here in 2015, 2016. Jacob Buttroff was our winner, and now in 2017, Marshall Kent gets his first singles title on U.S. soil.
To get back in the winner's circle for his 19th tour title.
But it's all going to come down to this one shot.
I might be seeing a little everything too.
So you're right. There is a lot going through his mind right now. And he's got to catch and go back to what Randy has said repeatedly. Execute, execute, execute. Let's have a little fun, he said. Must strike. Not going to happen. And look at this reaction from Marshall Kent. He wins it. His streak has come to an end. He is a winner in a title match on television. And a winner on television for the first time. They climb up the stepladder for Chris Barnes ends in the title match.
Guy in the sport than that man, yeah. Thank you. Well, they would have made Mark Ross proud with that performance. That was a Rothian performance. Oh, boy.
That he thought about totally stepping away from bowling. He regained it. He found it again. And now, he can find a trophy. Marshall Kent! A regained life! And a champion in Illinois! That's right! Of a man who was experiencing rock bottom in this sport. And now is able to take some hard work back home.
That's why you put the work in. Exactly what he's done. And once again, he's a PBA champion.
First time in 7 years he has this feeling.
First time a singles event. Doubles with DJ Tackett in 2022, but you know what?
No way, left the 10! Marshall Kent is a major winner!
Thank you. You go pick up that trophy.
Celebrating with his mom, Susan, his girlfriend, Cassandra. Kent is a major winner. The trophy celebration live next. Presentation.
Thanks, Rob. So with the trophy presentations, we are joined by Tom Clark, the commissioner of the PBA, and Johnny Petraglia. Please do the honors.
Marshall, just tremendous bowling, going through 4 of the best on this pattern. That was really great bowling. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Marshall Kent. What's going on, Marshall? Thanks for being here, boys. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Absolutely.
Dude, I get goosebumps watching that again. I can watch that over and over and over again. Congratulations on your first major. Unbelievable.
Thank you so much. I got a little teary-eyed just watching that, too.
I saw you smiling in the little window as we were watching that. That's it's a cool thing, dude. Johnny, have at it, bro.
There are so many different emotions running through my brain right now, but first and foremost, hello, my good friend.
Good to see you, brother.
Such a pleasure to see you, brother. And how ironic that the last time we were together was on one end of the country together, and now you're somewhere else, and I'm somewhere else. And meanwhile, we're still right here and celebrating you because it's absolutely massively well-deserved, dude. I'm going to dive into as much as I possibly can tonight. Don't want to steal too much of your time, but in the same respect, couldn't have happened to a better person, a more deserving person. You truly are the epitome of the word professional, and it's an honor to have you here, and thank you so much for having you again.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. What a wild ride, man.
I'm gonna dive in like I always do because I fanboy like this, and all this other stuff. So, Marshall, we frequently talk about you on this show, obviously when you're not here and when you are here, but somebody brought up this question. It was either last week or the week before. What's contributing to your success? Is it the change of the bowling ball companies? Is it the change of where you live? Is it? And my answer is always, I don't know the answer to that because every single person's journey in life is just a little bit different. But from actually just watching your highlight reel, your range of emotions seem to have changed a little bit, almost like you used to know you were supposed to win and would win here and there, but would always have a chance to win. But now it's like, you're going to win and you're supposed to win. And you've kind of stepped it up a notch a little bit with your emotion, a little bit with obviously your drive. Your physical game has never even been questioned. But what would you say is the biggest contributing factor to not only winning multiple titles in one year, but being the newly crowned Tournament of Champions victor? What's the biggest thing in your life that has brought everything to the forefront? What's going on?
Oh man. I don't even think I could narrow it down to one thing. It's been a bunch of things adding up, coming together. Like I think starting off with the move to Michigan, Cassandra and I moved an hour northwest of Detroit together, and Andrew Anderson actually helped make the connection with Brian from Holly Lanes. And from the day I walked in the building, he welcomed me with open arms and said, "Come into the center anytime you want, put out whatever you want, pull as much as you want." And that was huge. That was absolutely huge. Just being able to go to a quiet place and do what I need to do. And I told him he's literally a career saver, and then the company change as well has been huge. Last year I went through a learning curve because before it was kind of limited equipment, and then I signed with Hammer, and then all of a sudden here's 47 balls. Go figure them out. Oh, by the way, you start tour season in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're going to make a weight change halfway through the season too, and then have to drill 40 more.
So, I didn't even know that. What'd you go, 16 and 15?
Yeah, I went 16 to 15. The shapes just matched up better for me. And so, yeah, it was a learning curve. And then, starting months before the season started, I kind of got the fire back and started practicing and actually working on the things I needed to work on. And, and then another big thing too is, the support system. Obviously my mom's always been there my entire life. And then Cassandra's seen me at my lowest, and she's now seen me at my highest, and she's been along for the ride the entire way. And so she's been an absolute blessing. And also, Jason Wojnar was our tour rep for Big Bowling when I was with them. And part of the agreement with me signing with Hammer was having Wojnar come in as a tour rep as well. And just, we've been through a lot together, and we understand each other very well. And we also have Dino Castillo and Mike Wolf on as well, and they've been huge help. But they know my guy's Woj. So he's been an absolute blessing in all of our lives, and just a combination of everything come together. It's crazy. I mean, I felt like I saw glimpses of brilliance coming into the season where everything felt really good. It's like, I think I could do it. I know I can do it. Illinois was the kind of that the affirmation that I could do it again. And then it led up to the TOC at Riviera and having your dad hand me the trophy. That was unbelievable on 27-28. I could not have asked for anything better.
Speaking of that, I have two things to say. Number one, Dad wanted me to remind you again to say how proud he is of you. And
thank you.
Second thing is, for me, at least sitting at home, again, I'm going to, be a little bit selfish here because of Dad and because of my relationship with you. But Dad winning on that pair of lanes 53 years ago, and then me having met you long before you and him established a relationship. When I messaged you and told you I was crying my eyes out, that was pretty stupid awesome to me on this end. So, I mean.
And that was when your dad won 3 in a row, right? That was his third straight win, which has only been done a couple times. And
he was the only one on television.
Yeah. On television to do it, right. Yeah. The others were,
But that was his third at the end of the tour. He made 8 of the 13 telecasts that on that swing. But Marshall, because I know Robin Butch also. Oh my God, I just called you Butch, which is also not his real name.
Kayfabe.
What I meant was Ocho. Jim Ward. This is actually a great question because, when it comes to bowlers like you, bowlers like an EJ, a Simo, bowlers that are just so much better than the majority of bowlers that bowl. Jim Ward wants to know, can you really tell the difference between a hammer bowling ball and a storm bowling ball? And Jim, remember, in the middle of there, Marshall, correct me if I'm wrong, you were also signed with Big Bowling.
Big Bowling.
Yeah. Jim, before he even answers this question, you guys, if you've ever changed companies at this level and you drill as many bowling balls as these guys do, there's usually, in my brain, one of 2 or 3 things that separates the companies. And typically, from what I've seen, is storm bowling balls, as I've spoken in past shows, will preserve a lot more energy than a Brunswick ball, a Motive ball, or a big ball. They typically like to show a little bit more shape down lane. But Storm, Brunswick, and Motive have perfected figuring out how to take care of all of those tiers. But Marshall, with your game, which is so strong at the bottom, and a traditionalist at that fact too, like you're not no thumb, you're not two-handed, you are doing it all with. When I drilled some of your bowling balls, you had a shit ton of reverse in your fingers. I'm not sure if that's still the same to this day. But answering Jim's question, what can you really tell a difference between, say, a SPI product or a Brunswick product?
I'd have to say that answer would be different 10 years ago than it was today. I think nowadays on top of having so many bowling balls out, a lot of companies are starting to figure out their gaps and their holes. And so I feel like nowadays you could still tell a difference, but I think it's getting a little bit more difficult to tell a difference in companies. Like if you threw them together, no labels, no colors, no nothing. I think just the variety that every company offers, and with the technology that's out there, I think it's becoming harder and harder to tell a difference. But I think you can still tell for sure. Every company has its characteristics, but everybody's figuring out their weaknesses in their product lines, and they're doing all sorts of R&D. And I think nowadays it's even harder to tell than 10 years ago.
What happened with Big Bowling? Any idea of why they didn't make it?
Without getting into too much detail.
Get into too much detail.
No,
don't
make him do that.
This is the guy that told us about his plus 200 dump. I mean, come on.
I win the bet. I knew it was going to say it.
Of course I was going to. This was the guy that opened up straight up 5. He legit brought us to the forefront with the real news.
Rob, I win the bet. Marshall, go ahead.
That's an easy one.
Without getting into too much. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, this time around, there's a lot less alcohol involved too, so that might contribute to what I say.
But still, bowels are still moving.
Diet Coke, I promise.
Yeah,
bowels still have to be moved, and especially at 8 a.m.
right here.
Good man.
But it was a lot of business struggles that were hard to bounce back from between the COVID and supply chain shortage stuff, and then a lot of things weren't great on the business side of things, and which ended up separating ways. And that's pretty much the G-rated version of what I could say.
It's and that's actually good enough, because it's very, very tough in this industry. I mean, think about bowling and the millions and millions of members that bowl, and there really are only like 3 dominant companies now. And so 100%. my next question, and because we talk about this gentleman frequently on this show also, it's very, very obvious your deep relationship with one of the greatest, if not the greatest bowler of our generation in EJ Tackett. And to see, I remember a long time ago on one of our shows, we were talking about EJ's version 2.0 when you guys won the doubles event that I was actually watching in Vegas. And you guys just both bowled like absolute legends and just fed off each other. What did it feel like now being the Tournament of Champions victor to have him hug you and tell you to go pick up that trophy for the first time as a major champion?
Holy shit.
I mean, like, what did that feel like, dude? Come on.
It was, I mean, you saw it. I was in tears. I could barely hold myself together. And, it like Simon came up and hugged me right after he got done and said, "Love you, brother. Congratulations. So happy for you." And then EJ hung around. And I mean, we've had a lot of late night talks, a lot of hanging out time, a lot of time on the golf course. And it was absolutely special. And just, it just shows how close we are. And, I can't even put it in words.
No, that's it. You just summed it up right there.
But
you summed it up, and that's the point. And that's nobody sees that too. Like I like you're on tour, you're literally battling each other. This is your guys' livelihood. It's not like you guys are making a shit ton of money. I'm not ripping on it, but like this is your livelihood, and yet you guys are still freaking rooting for each other, which. It's almost like that's part of the story too. Like, how cool is that the guy you're battling with literally wants to take your throat out, is now so impressed at how good you did and is so happy for you. Like, that's a hard fix because, I mean, I'm a competitive guy. I don't want to lose, and maybe I don't have it. Well, I wouldn't be a pro bowler either because I'm not that good. But my point is, these guys are the best in the world, and then just had to eat crow and go, "You're better, and I'm so happy for you." That's badass, man. And it shows the camaraderie that you guys have out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, when we're doing it, I think I said on one of the shows earlier, I said, we don't give a shit who we're bowling. We just want to win. And then after it's all said and done, we're friends at the end of the day. As soon as we're done doing our jobs and one of us wins, we're so happy for each other. Like, I wasn't there at the show when EJ won the world championship, but when I got to Akron, he was the first one I saw in the paddock, and I just jumped and said, "I'm so happy for you, bud." And like, it was so cool to watch. And it was even and then like hug Woj, my mom, my girlfriend, and then even AJ Johnson was in the paddock afterwards, and we embraced forever. It was just so cool.
It's the stuff that people don't see, man. It's the stuff that like the television doesn't give it justice either. And again, it's not supposed to. It's supposed to show the competition. These are guys going at it, trying to be champions. Like, you're at the pinnacle. But it's still it's a cool feeling. Like, that's the goosebump moment, like we're talking about when EJ's like, "Go get your shit, man. You deserve it." Like, badass. And people love to see the sportsmanship of it.
And Marshall, I actually have two quick things here. The first one is you keep mentioning Woj. For those of you that don't know, he's talking about Jason Wojner. And back in like 2009, 2010, when our good friend Ryan Simonelli led Cheetah and lost to Norm, and then also led Viper and lost to Rhino, we actually spent 30 days in Detroit, and I had the pleasure of spending some time with Woj. At that time, Ebonite and Brunswick were not together. And that was when I believe the Smash and the Bash came out. And I remember hanging out with Woj in the paddock and Chad Kloss for another throwback. And we actually spent a lot of time together for the first time ever. Woj made me feel like family. So I definitely can understand and respect and relate to the commitment he has to not only friends, but people that give a shit about this sport. But my second one, Marshall, is going back to the EJ thing, because I always try and relate it to things that have happened in different generations. And because we're not out there, my question to you is, I'm going to use Parker Bone III and Jason Couch as my example here, because those are two best of friends that used to room on tour in the mid-'90s, late 90s. And Parker always had Jason's number the same way Albee always had Parker's number. Parker and I talk about this all the time. Whenever Parker bowled Albee typically won, but whenever Parker bowled Jason, Parker typically won. But the friendship and the fact that they would room together and travel together each week, does that kind of lighten the load on television as far as the nerves when it comes in to the idea of bowling in front of a nationally televised audience on live television? Does it actually relax you a little bit because you've bowled against these guys so much? Or do you still feel the same pressure all the time because of how good these guys are? Or is there like a mix somewhere in the middle?
No, I don't think it changes anything at all. I mean, I think that answer varies depending on who you ask, I would say. But like for me personally, it doesn't change anything because we're there to do a job. I mean, we're there to win. But, you know, it's kind of just whoever you're bowling's a shadow, basically. Like, you're there to win. And you're there to mow down anybody that gets in the way. But at the end of the day, you can go have a beer and joke about it and, you know, kind of just BS with it and have fun, you know? Like even Illinois, like I bowled AJ Johnson. We've been best of friends and rooming together for last 10, 12 years.
Another class act.
And we hugged and said, this is what we've always been talking about since we were bowling college against each other. You know, we're bowling each other for a title. And I was fortunate enough to come out on top. And then the next week we're sharing an Airbnb. Actually, the very next day, we're all sharing an Airbnb together, having a drink and just relaxing and BSing, you know? So it's, you kind of learn to kind of draw that line between work and, you know, personal relationships, you know, like whatever happens on the lanes, it's work. You're there to do a job. And then once that job is done, let's go out and do whatever we want. Let's go have fun, you know?
Heck yeah.
Well, let me ask you before you get into Johnny. Let me just a sidebar off of that, kind of related, well, actually directly related to what Johnny asked you. We saw Kevin Williams and Packy bowl each other, and it was completely different, right? Like they're both getting the crowd going. You know, the crowd was pretty loud, and they kind of liked that atmosphere. They kind of enjoyed bowling against each other. Where do you stand on crowd noise? And we asked this to Matt Russo last week. Did you like what Packy did, or would you prefer, you know, the quiet so you can concentrate? Is there a place for that in today's bowling outside of the league?
I mean, personally, I don't give a shit either way. You can make noise, you be quiet, whatever.
Right.
I think it's just personal preference. Honestly, if you like it, if you want the crowd to get into it while you're bowling, have at it. Absolutely. You know, get the crowd into it, get them involved. And if you don't like it, that's okay. I mean, either way, I don't really have an opinion either way. It's just whatever you want to do. You know, I support either decision, whatever you want to do.
Do you think that's also a testament to what you're doing because you just go with the flow? Like one of my favorite quotes ever is actually from Rochelle Marshall from back when we were in Vegas together. Rochelle always had a poster on her wall from Bruce Lee that spoke about being like water. Water always goes in the direction it's forced to go, and it never, ever has a problem. It just keeps on flowing. Mm-hmm. So as compared to somebody who's like, oh, this noise is too loud, or this is too quiet, or this is too this, or this is too that, you just kind of seem to adapt to everything around you, which is another reason why I think you're respected by everybody in the community, not just the pros. It's all the outsiders. I've witnessed it. I've seen it. And your raw, true emotion, I think, is what makes it so badass. And do you think that's maybe something else that's happened as you've matured in the sport, or anything else in life? You just like kind of just go where the universe and the cards tell you to fall. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Early on, I've, you know, definitely let kind of little things bother me a little bit, get a little agitated, get a little upset. And, you know, I guess kind of going through like a humbling phase of life and bowling and everything like that. It's just, I've kind of gotten to the point where it's just like, whatever happens. It's okay. Well, so what's next? What do we do? Where do I go from here? What's the next move? Instead of looking back and saying, oh, well, why did this happen to me? Why couldn't I get this done? Why did so-and-so have to do this? Like, it happens. You know, if you don't have any control over it, what's the point of being bothered by it? Just, okay, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? And yeah, I think that just came from life in general, just sort of the whole cliche control what you can control sort of thing. And shit just happens. What are you going to do?
And that's what we were saying. We were talking off air, like the decision to make this year's playoffs not a race to 2 for every round. Marshall's like, what the fuck are you gonna do? There's nothing we can do about it. Like, it is what it is. Like, you can't change it. So I mean, like, your maturity level that we see now is remarkable. Like, we saw you win early on in your career, obviously 2014, a babyface Marshall Kent, rookie of the year. And watching you over the years, we've seen you grow. And it's like, we've said this many times on the show before. There's so many good bowlers out there that are just outside the cut, or making some cashes here and there, and they have so much talent, but it just hasn't clicked. And we know you had success early, but like watching you now, it looks like everything just fits together. Like everything just clicked. Like you're in a good headspace. Obviously, you're seeing lanes very well. I'm sure the move to hammer did help, but I think the experience you had before, early on, and then the struggles that you had for 7 years or so, until now, it just seems like you've kind of figured it out.
Yeah, it's been a lot of growing up lately. Put it that way. I guess when I first came out on tour, if I was first or second or fourth or whatever in points, I probably would have looked at you and said, like, good, I'm supposed to be here. I'm the best. Just walking around big headed. And I guess I didn't appreciate what I was actually doing at the time, like how good it actually was. And then to go through the humbling phase and go through some struggles and just be like, man, I'm really not that good, And I think it grows your appreciation for when you do have moments where you come out on top like that. Like, I won twice this year, and both of them were very emotional because they meant a lot. And I know how hard it is to get there now, and it makes me appreciate things that much more. It's like, it was pretty cool, but I know how hard it is to get there, so I'm gonna have to keep doing that instead of just looking back. And I went through the phase where it was just like, cool, I'm that good, I don't need to practice, I can skip today, I can go play around golf instead of go practice or whatever. And
meanwhile, the top guys are still practicing though, and that's what now. Yep. Like you're like, man, I played 18 holes. They bowled 30 games today. They kept on it, and that's the mindset. And now, obviously, like you said, I'm not cutting off your statement, but I know where it's going. Go ahead, man.
I'm going to cut you off too because I have two questions. One is mine, and one is coming. Do me a favor, because I'll leave mine for second. You said earlier in your career you went out and said I'm better than anybody. Just remind me to go back to that in case I lose it, because you know me. But my best friend in the world, Stephanie Sheridan, actually didn't even go over here. She came straight to me. So
she knew someone,
and I actually want to hear the answer to this question. So I'm going to read it out loud again from Stephanie Sheridan. Love you, babe. Here we go. How did you spend the evening after you won the Tournament of Champions? And what does the evening of a major champion look like?
Well,
as transparent as you want to be. We don't care. Just how'd it go?
It was kind of wild because I had to drive 3.5 hours home that evening because I had a flight to catch the next day.
Oh,
so this is great. So we get done and I signed autographs, and there was a lot of fans that hung around, and it was awesome to see how many people stuck around. I mean, they waited for 45 minutes to an hour, and it was so cool. So we're kind of just sitting in the paddock, soaking it all in. And I had got a beer handed to me and had that, and then had one more. And then it's like my mom and Cassandra are there, and we have to drive back. It's like, all right, well, should we start heading back and I don't know, grab some food along the way? So yeah, that sounds pretty good. So we get like 15 minutes in our drive, and so, well, what about Texas Roadhouse? Well, at the time,
I love that place.
Cassandra brought our dogs down, so we had to check out of the Airbnb that day too. So we have 2 Pomeranians hidden in the corner of the paddock, the entire show, just sitting there, just sitting there, and so 2 little fluff balls for everyone. Maybe they were therapy dogs for for everybody else. You'll pet them and whatnot. but so we go along the drive and say, well, let's there's Texas Roadhouse, and like, well, we can't really leave the car running, go inside and sit down and eat, and all that. And so, well, what's something quick? So we go to Culver's. So first dinner as a major champion was Culver's.
What is it?
It was pretty amazing though. I got nothing against
like
Culver's.
It was it's custard.
It was
burgers,
fantastic.
It's like a Five Guys or something. Is it like
it's way better? Than
No, it's
Rob? Explain it to the fans.
They're based on, hold on. All right, they're based out of Wisconsin. Typically a Midwest to Southern chain. We do have several here in Tennessee. So they got like buttered rolls. Like the burgers are really good. They got hot dogs. They got chicken sandwiches.
Is this like in tin cup, the equivalent of like him going to the Waffle House after eating or something?
No.
Like a half step up.
A Dutch bakery meets a Five Guys meets a like apple orchard farm.
Oh, okay, all right, I get that.
It's almost like maybe like a Midwest In-N-Out with chicken sandwiches.
There you go.
Maybe.
Or a step up from Jack in the Box. So
yeah. There we go. But yeah, and then drove 3.5 hours home, and then did some laundry, unpacked, repacked, and went straight to the airport the next day to fly out to Seattle.
Life of a champion.
So yeah.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't stop though either. I mean,
Marshall,
what can you do?
No,
my second part, and I actually remember this time, which is it's actually not crazy because I genuinely love you this much. No, you see, you got up and now I lost it. We were talking earlier when you said that when you first went out there, you were talking about how, well, not actually saying this, but you like, oh, I'm better than all these guys, isn't that? Do you think that the mentality of going out there at a young age, like you did after being a multi-time member of Junior Team USA prior to your stint with Team USA, do you think the belief in your talent and then not being where you thought you were and then climbing back up is better than the people that walk out there and say, I'm just here for the experience, or, I'm good in my local places? Like, in other words, what I've always tried to preach is there's 2 ways to be great. You either accept the fact that you want to be great all the time and you figure out a way to do it, for better or worse. I mean, like, we're both gym rats, dude. Like, you go to the gym for a specific purpose that only caters to you. And anybody that goes to a gym every single day has commitment to something that only benefits them, unless you're doing it, like in the case of this guy, like monetarily. But do you think your 100% confidence in yourself at a younger age has now translated? I would compare it to, say, somebody like Bill O'Neill. Because Bill O'Neill kicked the shit out of everybody on the East Coast when we were kids, including me. And then we saw him like kind of flutter in the middle, and Bill O'Neill is going to be a Hall of Famer first on the ballot this coming year, which eventually you will be too. Do you have any advice for the people that don't think like you at the start? Like, in other words, I guess what I'm trying to say here out loud is, what I'm gathering here is every single professional that's been in the limelight, or anybody that wants to be in the limelight, has always reached a point where they second guess themselves at some point. And it's the guys that are willing to do, guys and girls that are willing to do whatever it takes to continue that lifestyle. And it seems like that's exactly what you did, but you did it starting from a high point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice for the people that, because to me, when somebody says, oh, I'm bowling this tournament for experience, it means basically what they're saying to me is, I know I have no chance of winning because of X, Y, or Z, whether it's I can't make a 10-pin, I can't play deep, I can't adjust. There's always something that caters to somebody saying, I'm here for the experience, right? Whereas you already believe that you had the experience at a young age. I know this is all over the place, but I'm trying to make sense of it as I'm saying it to you.
I think I understand. I understand what you're saying. And I guess there's like a thought process for everybody out there, everybody has different ambitions, different goals. Everybody has a different mindset. But I don't remember who it was. Somebody in golf, I think it was, said, if you always have your mind on making the cut, that's all you're ever going to be. You're going to be like up around the cut. If you always have your mind on winning, then making the cut's irrelevant. You want to win. Like, that's what you're there for. That's your only mission. That's what you want to do. If your only mission is to make a cut, that's as far as you're going to get. And so, and then I guess if you want to be that top dog, you have to have that I'm here to win mentality for sure. Maybe there's once in a while, someone that's there for experience is going to have a great tournament, make the show, probably win. But if you want to be there consistently, I feel like you have to have that mindset that you walk into the building, and whether you don't say it out loud, deep down, you say, I'm here to win, but I don't think there's anything wrong with saying I'm here to get experience, especially if you're only a couple tournaments in, or maybe you're bowling like a sweeper to get ready for nationals or something like that, or something along those lines, where you kind of just soak in everything, and you learn faster that way too. You just absorb everything like a sponge. You work on, you take home everything you want to work on, take home, mistakes you made, what can I do to improve, and then maybe develop from that into that sort of top dog mentality.
All right, then hang on real quick, because this is my follow-up question, because I don't want to call anybody ignorant, but let me just say the uneducated people, or people that try not to think outside the box the way that I do.
Mm-hmm.
You seem to perform at every single level when it comes to games. And what I mean by that is, like, the old PBA, it was always 42 games, 56 games. It was always long formats. You never had short formats. So like somebody like me, my dad's mentality was always he preferred longer format tournaments. Let's say it's 3 6-game blocks, 18 games of qualifying, like they're doing in the Villages this week, the Senior Tour. His mentality was always, I'm trying to bowl 9-pin no tap for the first 3 or 4 games. I don't care if I'm 20 under or 20 over and the leader's 200 over after 4 games. I'm just trying to make sure that I keep myself in contention for the tournament, because I know I've got 42 games if I make it to the TV show. So Dad would always try and stay close, unless, of course, he had the nuts from game 1, which everybody's had at some point in their life. But his goal was always stay close, and then bury him, because I know I'm going to strike more than anybody as soon as my confidence goes up. But you, EJ, Simo, Belmo, everybody that's on the top of the list, Kyle Troop, you guys win, whether it's 14 games of qualifying, 40 games of qualifying, 52 games of qualifying, and this is like week to week. And I think that's one of the things that most viewers miss, because they don't get to see that, because they only see what you guys do on television. You guys are figuring out not only a way to strike more than the greatest batch of bowlers in the world, you guys are figuring out how to do it like on different wavelengths. Does your mindset change when qualifying is 14 games compared to 18 with 24 of match play? Like does it, or is it just always, it's like, okay, this one's longer. Like it's going to take, I have to drive 30 miles an hour in the snow compared to 90 on the highway. Like what happens there?
Yeah. I can't really speak for the other guys. I don't know what's going through their head in those kind of situations, but I guess for me personally, I always prefer the longer format, the 40, 50 plus game week. And I've always said the tournament doesn't start until you get to match play.
Right.
Because you could be leading the tournament through qualifying, but you better believe the guy in 20th going into match play, he's gunning for you. Like he knows he's got the 30 bonus pins. He's got 24 more games to go. And there's only so far ahead you can get in, let's say 18, 24 games. Then you build a cushion, but the tournament doesn't really start until match play.
Yeah.
I know in those formats for me, I'm a lot more patient and forgiving with myself, because I know, even though I might come out of the gate with 150, I know I still got 41 plus more games till it even gets to the TV show, or 17 games until there's even a cut.
Right.
So I guess I don't think my mentality changes in the in the strategy of what I do. But I do notice for me, and it's something I need to work on, is that when there's the shorter formats, I'm a lot less patient with my mistakes because I know I don't have as much wiggle room to make those mistakes as I do if we're bowling 56 games. So, and that's something I need to work on. And actually, when I was younger, got pretty good at, because when we go over and bowl EBTs, it was a 6-game sprint, cut, 6-game sprint, 6-game sprint. So bowling those frequently, I got pretty good at it. Well, I haven't bowled one of those in probably 4 or 5 years. So I think I kind of almost forgot how to do it, to be honest.
For all of our younger viewers, this gentleman is the defending Tournament of Champions victor, and he just told you that every once in a while, his head goes a little bit nuts, and he has to work on it, right? This is the king right now. Listen to what he's saying right now, because it makes all the sense in the world, and I promise you it'll pay dividends for you guys and girls at the end of the day. Rob, go on. I'm sorry. I'm stealing a lot of questions here.
It's fine. It's at some point, Marshall, you lost that edge where you were doubting yourself for quite a while. And I've seen guys this year like Kim Ballaby and Michael Martell kind of get into that same mindset where they post on their social media, I don't know if I want to come back next year. Like, you know, and once you get in that mindset, it's completely hard to get out of it. One, what kind of brought you to that point? Do you know what you know, because you had your success early and then you went through a funk. Do you know what caused that, and do you know how you got out of it?
Just honestly, a lot in life, I think, kind of took away from that. I guess there was kind of, I guess rock bottom for me was I hate to say rock bottom because I really didn't have that bad, but I basically still owned a house, but I couldn't live in it because I was renting it out to a tenant at the time. So I guess that was basically the most generous form of homeless I could be, in a sense. Which, like I said, I could have had it worse, but and I hate to make it sound like it was absolutely miserable, but like, and then I think the whole signing with Hammer and having Woj on, you know, it gave me, and having all these bowling balls at my disposal, and almost made me feel like I was back to being kind of where I was early years of Storm, where I was like I felt like a respected staffer, and not that I didn't before. I don't want to make it sound like that, but it got me excited again. It got me excited about drilling new bowling balls and going out and competing with all this new equipment. And then the last part of that was I was frustrated at the end of the last season with how I was throwing it physically. You know, I felt like I still had like 3 major top 10s and 3 or 4, and I was like, okay, what do I got to do to make it the top 5? What do I got to do to just that little extra? It's like right there, and it's like I could see it. I just didn't know how to get there, and I got kind of fired up about that, and so that lit the fire under my belly. And you know, like I said, months before the season started this year, I was working my ass off, you know, in the gym and on the lanes with I had a lot of phone calls with Mike Jazz now, with my college coach, DJ Hayes, with Woj, just so many phone calls, sending videos. What do you think of this? What do I need to do, tweak here? I mean, it was just a whole completely different work ethic than I'd ever had. And, you know, it's really easy to get kind of in that down sort of, do I really want to do this mentality? Because we're playing a sport where if you lose 95% of the time, you're in the Hall of Fame. Like you're losing 95% of the time you go out and bowl. Like as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You work your ass off for the 3% of the time you're going to win. And like I said, it's just so easy to lose that because you know you spend a lot of time as a loser.
Yeah.
But
dude, you're an athlete. We talk about this on the show all the time. Whenever, at least I tell this to my junior bowlers that I coach out here. I always use a baseball reference. I mean, who's got the highest batting average ever for an entire MLB season in Ted Williams or George Brett batting over 400? Over like whoever bats over 400, right? Yeah, that just means that they failed 6 out of every 10 times they went to the plate. Yeah. And I'm going to say this out loud, and I have no problem saying it. I used to bust EJ's chops all the time. I used to bust his chops saying like, you never knew which kind of EJ was going to be on TV. You just never knew. That's why I brought up the whole version 2.0 when you guys won the doubles. But the truth of the matter is the guys that are there all the goddamn time, like Walter Ray Williams Jr.'s goal was to have more firsts than seconds. His goal was to win more than he fucking lost, and he still won more than anybody, and may win more than anybody before the PBA is ever over, before we're off this planet. It's such a breath of fresh air to hear just the normal brain, Rob, isn't it? It's just like last time, man. It's so stupid good.
And we've said it about bowlers. I don't know how many times on the show. Like, bowlers are just different breeds. Like, and even then with the community. And yeah, of course, you get toxic on social media, especially in the last few years. But as a whole, bowling fans love the sport, and bowlers love the sport because obviously they're not doing it for the money unless they're on the top level, because there isn't that much in it. They do it because they love the game. You could probably name a handful of players in the NBA or MLB that play because they love it. A lot of them there for the money. Let's just be honest. There's a lot of money in those sports. That's what makes bowling and bowlers so unique, is they have such a strong.
But I know Marshall went sideways.
Yeah, we can do that too.
And I think he might be frozen. So while he's frozen, we're just gonna stay in the same exact posture.
So I mean, bowlers love the sport of bowling, and that's why I love.
Rob, do it more. Do it more. Do it more.
I'll get my mic down here. All right. There we go. That's why I love this sport so much.
Because all right, don't hurt yourself. There's a tornado coming.
It's just real, genuine people. You know what I mean? It's and bowlers are so fucking smart, especially the kids nowadays. Holy fuck, dude! Like,
and speaking of bowlers being smart, I'm pretty sure that he's aware, and we'll get him back shortly. This happened with Matt Russo last night. Hopefully, it's not the tornado from Tennessee. But
wait, hold on. Wait.
It might be the battery. Remember we had Duran on? D-Ron. And he forgot
to plug in his laptop.
We got one guy that forgets his battery. We got one guy in a shit spot, and I think Marshall tried to make himself bigger, and it fucked up everything. So until he gets back,
how you know what? I'll ask you this, Johnny.
Yeah,
and you kind of touched on it earlier. It's weird how things work out. Like, we had Marshall on the show the first time. You guys have been friends for a while, but to have him on again after what he just did at the TOC, and then the connection with your dad winning there and presenting him with the trophy. It's your dad, it's your good friend, and now he's here in the show again. Like, it's just weird how all that kind of falls into place.
And here's the best part before we get him back. And this is actually something I wanted to talk to him about when he made the show. So I used to room with another former PBA Tournament of Champions winner, Matthew O'Grady. And Matt O'Grady bowled BJ Moore in the first match of the year that he ran the ladder at the Tournament of Champions. And there seems to be this trend in Fairlawn at AMF Riviera, or at least it used to be called AMF Riviera. I'm not sure if it's still called the same thing. But between Belmo, Matt O'Grady, and Marshall, you see a lot of guys run the ladder in recent years in Fairlawn. And I actually said, when I saw the ladder, I said, I wonder if somebody else is going to win from the first match. Because it seems like everybody that comes out onto the lanes there, they don't have, I guess, the same motion. They don't have the same comfort or whatever it is, whereas the guy in front of him. And Marshall, which, you know what, I hear a lot of fucking haters on Facebook talking about, oh, he squeaked through this match, he squeaked through that match.
Fuck off.
He may have squeaked through here with a good break or a good break there, but he also made the show, and he's also a champion. He's also one of the best bowlers we've ever seen, right?
Right.
But Marshall not only migrated his way against four of the greatest bowlers in the world, he also did it using 4 different bowling balls, multiple bowling balls on different lanes, trying this line, trying that line. Should I throw it harder, softer? Should I grab it? Should I leak it? Should I tug it? The confidence instilled throughout the course of that tournament and the understanding, and that's what Marshall's talking about when it comes to maturity on the lanes. Marshall's always had the talent, but now he's got the maturity to understand what to do and when to do it. Look, man, I may go Brooklyn a couple times. I may go face a couple times. I may miss what I'm looking at a couple times. But if I do that and I get 8 or I get 9 or at least something makeable, and I make it, I still have a chance to beat you. A clean game with 2 doubles is 215, man.
Right.
You can throw a 6-bagger and not bowl 210.
Yep.
It doesn't really matter. That was always Walter's thing. Walter leaves more 10 pins than anybody on tour, right? But he also makes everyone and splits the least.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about the guys on tour. Everybody hits it on the golf tour. Everybody hits it over 300 yards now. Everybody. Everybody's good at flop shots. Everybody's good out of the sand. Everybody's good here. But the best players in the world never 3-putt. And they 1-putt more than they 2-putt. It's a game of inches. Golf is exactly the same game that bowling is. It's a game of inches. Stephanie, I brought her up earlier. Stephanie comes out to Vegas with me, bowls fantastic, and before she leaves, she wants to fix her grip. She's got pain in her finger. So she goes with a completely different fucking feel in all of her shit, fixes all of it, talks about it, and now I don't know if she's made modifications or if she's like loving it to death, but she goes out and she fucking makes a TV show or makes a ladder in a regional with her new grip. It's a constant change. You're always doing something to better your game, and that's what Marshall does, always has. And it's the maturity, it's the understanding that no matter how good you are, you can always be better. You can always progress. You can always do something just a little bit more. And I think that's why this kid is so great.
And we say kid, like he is only 31, but it's his 10th year in the tour. Like
well, he's a kid. He's a kid to me.
But with all the actual kids coming on now, the young guys, like he is almost the old guard now. Now that he's been on the tour for 10 years,
But he's an athletic, in shape, committed, and driven old guy at 31.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, this isn't the goddamn NFL, Rob. He's not going to retire when he's 40.
His legs don't fall off when he's
an old guy when he's 40.
Right.
He's going to bowl for 20-something more years on the regular tour. And then in 20 years, everybody's going to be talking about him the same way they talk about Robert Smith or Rudy Rose or Richie Wolf or anybody else that's out there. You know what I mean?
It's not like he's a running back, his legs fall off at 30. Yeah, no. I get it. Oh, here we are again. Wait.
It must be that 5-minute battery.
What's up, dude? You're sideways now, but
don't worry. We bragged about you the entire time. Oh, he's still coming.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear a darn thing.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
You can't hear us.
Son of a bitch. Well,
what do you think, Rob? How do we fix this?
I don't know. Sign language?
Oh. We can hear you. All right. So now that he knows we can hear him, but he can't hear us, what do you want to do?
I don't know. I don't know how to fix
that. Do you want to take a brief intermission, maybe let Marshall go for 10 seconds, 10 minutes, bring in Joe Lamb to talk about our local thing, and then bring Marshall back while we figure it out?
Sure, we can do that.
I'll message you. Message Marshall. I'll message. Actually, Joe can definitely hear us. You message Marshall. Let's boot him out. For all of our local guys in Jersey, while we're having some issues with Marshall, I did make a promise to another very, very dear friend of mine tonight. I offered him 5 minutes, but I'll definitely give him at least 10 or 15. I do want to bring in the Godfather. Oh, wait, you brought Marshall back.
Can you hear us?
Oh, good, we got him back. Joe Lamb, sorry, stay in the background.
I don't know what happened there.
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Okay. Go.
Oh, yeah, now we can. Yeah, now we can.
Good deal. All right.
We're back.
We were just.
I love how much you give a shit. You're like, oh my God. Is that like going big four on the front 5? Like,
yeah,
what the fuck am I going to do?
More like throwing it in the gutter on the front 6.
We were just bragging on you while you were gone and just saying how you've been able to adapt and mature and be on that top level. You and I talked off air, but for the benefit of Johnny and our viewers, since moving to Hammer, what has been your go-to ball so far?
Oh yeah.
Oh, GB4 hybrid all day, every event. The GB4 hybrid, the Stealth Solid has been in my bag every stop, and most recently the GB5. I mean, those are 3 balls that I can't go anywhere without. And actually, the surprising addition to the lineup has been the Sneak Attack. I think it's like a low diff solid. I don't know. It's something we just pulled off the truck and ended up throwing on the show. But it was
I
just,
may have thrown that ball Monday at league because of you. Keep going.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Yeah, that was literally a no reason ball that ended up being the reason ball. I was like, all right.
That's really cool. We also mentioned, or you mentioned to me off air, that you hate urethane, and we've seen everybody throw the freaking black pearl hammer. So you mentioned to me you hated the purple hammer.
I don't understand how the guy struck with it. And like, I personally hate it because I feel like I can't throw it successfully. I love it when the other guys throw it because I just get a mountain of hold and I could throw it in a window this freaking big.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just, I don't know. The purple just never matched up with me. Drilled it up, down, sideways, 15, 16, 14. Couldn't figure it out. Could not figure it out. The black one is actually, the black pearl has been a lot better for me. I've actually been able to keep it in play for a couple games, but I don't know. It bails me out 2-0, sometimes 220, and then I can just get in and throw a reactive ball and we're set. So, yeah.
Do you think it's a better ball for lefties because of the fact that there's not as much traffic?
Better than the purple?
Yeah. Well, do you think either ball, because we've seen lefties be successful with both the last couple of years. Do you think?
Yeah.
I think it favors the left side?
No, I don't think it favors left or right. I think it's just different. It's like its own unique little animal. I mean, I guess it'd be kind of like compared like the pitch black and the IQ 78.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't say either one's better. They're just different. You know, it's different, completely different shape. You have to play a different part of the lane. I've seen right-handers use it just as successfully as left-handers. It's just different.
Okay.
You know,
fair.
But I think on the left side, it's actually like in tournaments where they could throw both a purple and a black. I think it's a pretty deadly combination for them because they can play straighter angles with the black, and then once it gets a little carry down, just kind of scooch in a little bit with the purple. That comes off a little harder, and shoot, it's a great 1-2 combo. I wish I could do it. I hate the purple.
That's so funny.
I would make that move if I could, but I can't do it and confidently get up there and say I'm going to hit the pocket.
Right. Now, Matt Russo talked about how much he loves hammer in the brands of Brunswick and how they've kind of, I don't want to say jumped ahead of Storm, but we think they're making great strides. And he really broke it down like very, very well about what the company is doing to make their equipment better than Storm and everybody else. And we're seeing more Brunswick team members win this year. Do you think with the recent releases that there kind of is an edge for Team Brunswick?
I think the equipment's gotten significantly better with the introduction of the HK 22. I mean, now all of a sudden we're designing balls that, I mean, at least I've only been on staff for 2 years, so I can't really speak for beforehand, but just from the outside looking in beforehand, it just looked like the Brunswick brands really struggled to get kind of that like high road pearlish spot in the bag when the fronts got toasted and you couldn't get a ball to come off it down lane unless you had an SPI ball in your hand. And ever since the HK came out, I think we have a couple pieces that can compete with that for sure. You know, like for me, it's been the GB4 hybrid. I mean, that ball for me has been probably the closest thing to the original high road that I've been able to throw. It's the same spot in the bag, I think. Yep. So, but I mean, they're just, I think the Brunswick brands are definitely getting a lot better in their kind of lower end, like later in the block sort of equipment by a lot.
And you've been able to throw the GB4 on multiple different patterns, which is remarkable.
And we see not only Marshall, we see a lot of players throwing that ball. I actually finally just drilled mine, and even on a house shot, the ball allows me to migrate in either direction of my comfort zone. Usually I like to, let's just say in league play, me being a no-thumb lefty, I like to have my feet somewhere around 30, 35 and send it to, say, 7 or 8 down lane.
But that GB4 for me, with my basic favorite layout, which for anybody listening is 70 by 2 7/8 by 30. So it inverts the CG towards the palm and leaves a pretty tall pin. The ball allows me to do exactly what Marshall says. I never have to worry about it getting through the front part of the lane, but I never have to worry about it dragging through the actual change in direction, just like a high road, which the only time I ever threw was when the late great, my best man, Michael Marcus, passed away. He allowed me to take one out of his shop at Wall and Paupeck and test it against, at that time, I want to say it was probably like a Mean Streak or an Aura or something along those lines. But our stuff allows that, something like that bowling ball is extremely versatile, allows you to do the shit that I'm assuming you're used to with the exact same control and like understanding and commitment, right?
100%. Yeah, it's that ball that I'm not afraid to send it to the right, and I know it's gonna, if I do the right thing in my hand, it's going to come off it the way I want it to every single time. And I think I've literally thrown that ball in every single tournament this year. I think every single one of them I threw that ball at some point in time. Even on Cheetah, even on the shorter patterns, it came into play. Longer patterns came into play. It's just wild.
Marshall, I have to switch with Ocho for a second here, but the question that I wanted to ask you, that I'm assuming we always, you know our show, dude. We like to ask the normal questions, but we like to ask the more intimate questions with the best in the world.
Absolutely.
When you miss, what is your miss? We've seen you miss the headpin left. We've seen you get 3 off the right.
Oh,
not here to criticize. Not here to criticize. But we do want to know what happens. So, like, in other words, actually, there is no in other words. What happens?
It's kind of funny.
I'm going to take my phone because I have to use the restroom, so I'm going to listen out there, but stick with Ocho for a minute.
You know, I was thinking about it. I really didn't miss like that until I started taping my ring finger. So I'm going to blame it on that. I'm going to do the old bowler's excuse, say it's not me. It's the tape on my ring finger.
And what caused you to tape it up then?
Well, after the Illinois event, I had a cut in my finger because I digged my ring finger, and it started getting pretty deep. So we go to Springfield the very next week and get through practice okay. It's fine. Gluing it, whatever, new skin. And then game 4 qualifying, it splits and it goes almost, I mean, it was almost halfway across my finger, like deep. And
you dig that far in though too, or do you? Is that just okay?
Oh, I get in there. I get in there.
You bet your ass you do. You can't be a champ if you don't.
You're not okay. You're not.
Yeah, it was down here, so I can't dig my finger, so I can't get up the back of it like I want to. And I ended up talking to Woj, and I said, "Dude, feel like I put too much work in to waste a week like this because of something silly like that." So I started playing with tape, and I compromise a bit of my feel for longevity.
Right.
And I don't know. It still feels weird. I'm still getting the hang of it. I still have a hard time feeling when I miss it at the bottom and when I absolutely unload on it. And a lot of those errant shots, I feel like I was trying to feel a shot out, but it just slips completely off my hand and goes dead right and sail away. See you later.
So that tape's here to stay, though, or are we eventually gonna just get some laser surgery to close that gimmick up at least, or that's a?
I'm probably just gonna cut it off and getting like a metal ring finger or something like that.
That works. That works.
Yeah.
Or again, that's so easy for 10 pins too. If you only have the thumb and the.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one of those big old like real thick like fishing circle hooks. Right here.
Perfect. Just do what the Terminator did. Didn't the Terminator have all that stuff where you just got to pull on the tendon and make the finger go? That's what you need.
Yeah, exactly. Just
the technology's progressing day by day. So don't mind me, guys. I was sweating way too much. We're having a heat wave here, freaking weird in May, and we got the AC cranking. Everything's fine. I just happen to sweat just by brushing my teeth. So I'm sure everybody's wondering, where's Ocho? Because he's the life of the party. Anyway, sorry, Marshall. I know you missed me. I apologize.
I did. Well, I'm glad you were gone because I was somewhat gone for a second too. So
and I saw it. So I was watching on the television. See, I'm still a fan.
I think you dribbled some sweat on my phone and I disappeared for a while.
That's probably what happened. You better wear rubber shoes because you get electrocuted too.
I knew it couldn't be me.
I have 4 fans on me all the time because I wouldn't be on the show as much as I sweat.
I could sweat in an igloo too. I could
It's
absolutely.
crazy, right?
I mean,
Like,
like people are like, "Oh man, what were you working out?" And I'm like, "Nah, I just dialed the phone, man. Like I didn't do anything." Just
let's talk about Simo for a second because he's gotten a lot of haters this year based on some of the things he's done. Maybe a little bit of an attitude that he may have displayed, but obviously he's the best in the world, right? Let's not mince words. Like everybody considers him probably one of the best, if not the best, right now, and could go down as the best of all time. You know him very well.
Yes,
he's an intense, competitor.
100%.
We totally get that, and we've seen kind of his frustration, especially last year when he bowled so well that any other year, like if EJ hadn't bowled, like Simo would have ran away with it.
100%.
And you're starting to see a little of that frustration still carry over to this year, not having as much success. What do you think is going on with Simo? Have you talked to him about it? Have you tried to get into his head?
he's not going to talk to Simo about how to do stuff.
No, there's actually, if anything, I
Kicks his brains,
sent him a text the
right?
other day. I was like, dude, I love how you just speak your mind and you just tell it how it is, and you do not give a shit.
Yeah,
awesome. Like, on the lanes, he's a super intense competitor. He wants to win everything all the time.
Right.
But he gets a lot of slack for that. But off the lanes, he's one of the most down to earth, kind, humble individuals you could ever talk to. Very smart, and he's absolutely awesome too. Like one of the best. And yeah, it's just I think people get blurred between our competitive selves and our actual selves.
Right.
And I mean,
that's what makes you the winner too, though. Like if you don't turn it on, you're not going to have it. Like you guys were saying before. I mean, he's obviously got a different notch, and I assume it's like don't miss a 10 pin or else all hell's going to break loose. And I'm speaking a little out of turn, but it seems like that's kind of like what people say. He's super intense, but if you don't have that, you're not going to win. You're literally not going to win.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny that some people think he's struggling this year. He set the bar so high last year, like every single event was top 10.
True.
But I think what goes kind of under the radar is that he's 2 games away from winning 3 titles with 2 majors this year.
Yeah.
Like he led the US Open, he led the TOC. I mean, if he wins those 2 games, nobody's saying a word, and he's long front runner for Player of the Year.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, he had a couple not top 10 finishes, but even then, he still just missed match play those times, and I don't think he's struggling. It's just he set that bar so ridiculously high last year. Him and EJ both. That's he goes in and he'll finish top 12. He'll finish 12th and be like, "Oh, what the hell's going on? Why is Simo struggling so bad?"
Right.
But even on a house shot, people have bad weeks and whatnot. Even on the pro pattern, he's still his bad week is I was only top 24. Damn it, man. I don't know.
No, that's a great point, Marshall. Is he did set the bar so high, so when he isn't doing as well, we're like, what the hell's going on with Simo? That's a fantastic point. And same thing happened to Belmo, obviously, for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He won so much, but then went a couple of years without winning a title. And this year he's obviously not doing as well as he did last year or the year before. And everyone's like, what's wrong with Belmo? Well, Belmo's on. He said, you know what? I'm taking care of my family first. Bowling is kind of second place right now compared to my family. I want to have more fun this year because he was on the road so much and he's so far away from home that this year he just took a different mindset and said, I'm just going to bowl the events that I want, and whatever happens.
Yeah, and he's still competitive in what was it, four majors or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's a down year for him.
It's a down year. It's just funny. It's a lot of these seasons that people consider down years for these guys would be stellar seasons for 99% of anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're like, I went 7 years without a title. I don't know what the fuck's Belmo crying about.
Exactly. I gave you all a head start.
So walk us through your first round of the playoffs. How were you feeling when you walked into the building that day?
Still trying to come down from Sunday, it was pretty cool because it was the first time I get a bowl on TV in my home state.
Right.
So, that's pretty cool. I had a lot of family there, and it was pretty cool. I was still on cloud nine, and having a good time, and it was cool to see a lot of people. And I think the fun part for me about it too was not only seeing all my family, was I got to see a lot of people I grew up bowling, junior events with, and it's always cool to go home, to go to my home state, to go see everybody that I basically grew up with, in a sense. I've been bowling against them since I was 12, so it was pretty cool. And then the Angel of the Winds is always fun to go to. I bowled a couple regionals there. I think I might have the very first PBA 300 in that building. I think. Wow. I bowled at one of the regionals they hosted, and it's always awesome to go to that place. They take such good care of us, and it's fun. It was a good time.
As we talked off air, you guys already taped the show that's coming up this Sunday, so we're not going to talk about the results. But it's funny to see every year there seems to be somebody that kind of comes alive. And we saw that with Boog this year. We saw it with D-Ron coming out and getting his first win. Then we saw the two kids, literally kids, Dio Bernard and what's his name? Jones.
Eric Jones.
Eric Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully they're Team Brunswick members as well. Do you see, because we talk about Bolero not really, investing in the sport, what's going to, league bowlership is down, USBC numbers are down. But then we see kids like Eric Jones come up, and we see, guys like Dio Bernard come up. Do you think the future looks bright for the sport?
I'd have to say so, yeah. Especially with junior gold getting so big, the collegiate programs. There's so many bowlers. It's just a matter of how do we retain them and get them to commit to the professional level. But there's so much young talent out there. There's a list a mile long of guys that could go out and make a splash on a tour. It's really up to them. Do they want to pursue it? How seriously do they want to pursue it? Are they going to be a flash in the pan the first couple of years and just say, no, this isn't for me? Their next Simo or EJ's out there somewhere, but there could also be the next, let's say Andrew Koff. He was an absolute stud growing up, and he decided to pursue a different route. He went, the educational route and got an engineering degree or 2 or 12 or whatever he did. And, so I think the future looks bright for sure. I'm just curious to see how many of these kids actually come out and want to pursue it.
So Johnny sent me a video, which I can't download, but I'm going to share my screen here. And you will remember this night, Marshall.
We can't let you. I know we're pushing your time and we love you so much, but we can't let tonight go. And courtesy of this video, thank you, Eric Nielsen.
Oh, I think I know what's coming up.
You better know what this video.
Yeah, I think you do.
I think it was the same. It's the same exact date, 2 years in between, right?
When you won.
Yep.
Yes.
It was 2 years to the day.
Sure as hell was.
Yep.
Let's see if we can figure out how to do this, Rob.
Let's see if I can.
Foodie Girl Fitness.
That's as big as I can get it. That's what she said. Or no,
I get told that all the time.
I'm going to prep this. Can you pause it, Rob, before this happens? Pause it.
I sure can. I think.
Too late.
No, you can't.
It's already in.
Hold on. I can rewind. Hold on. Let me go.
Holy cripes, Rob!
Is
the tornado still there?
I'm going to prep this. I'm going to prep this for our viewers. Marshall comes to our home in Vegas. This is 2 years to the day when he becomes the Tournament of Champions winner. And my good friends Mike Val and my old groomsman Alex Aguiar are having a putting competition on our backyard putting green in Vegas. And I can't remember who it was, whether it was Alex or Mike, but somebody bet Marshall while he was sitting on a lawn chair next to Rochelle and I, and said, I guarantee I'll give you 3 or less shots to make this putt, because that particular hole, there's 5 holes on our backyard course, and that particular hole was like an impossible pin placement. It was elevated, and if you missed an inch too long or an inch too short, your next putt was still 10 feet plus, no matter how good you hit it.
Sat up on my volcano.
Marshall pops up out of his seat. He takes this flat Ben Hogan putter from like 1950. I think he's hitting a top flight.
The bullseye putter. Hell
Like
yeah.
a fucking Kirkland or something bullshit. And we toss him the ball. He goes, "Where do you want me to putt it from? Right here? Roll tape." If you have volume, that would be amazing.
Apparently, this is
I think we need the volume for the whole video.
All right, hang on. Let me. There we go. Can you guys hear it?
Oh, wait, this isn't it.
Yeah, this is it.
Oh, this is it. Yep, never mind. So to this day, this
He
is
just smoked it.
the greatest putt in the history of putts.
And he even put his hat on. Just smoked it.
Just the greatest day, the greatest putt ever.
That was such
when
a
you
blast.
made that putt, it had to feel good. I mean, to this day, I've still never made that putt.
Oh my god, it was so funny.
So you're
'cause it was
1 for 1.
Facebook Live too. It was like he was doing this live.
Yeah, it's Facebook. Yeah.
It's like,
Dude, he
I
just
remember-
swatted it at it. Oh my
Smacked
gosh.
it, dude. Smacked it.
I remember
I'm like,
Mike,
yeah, we know.
Mike goes like, "I want to see Marshall sink it," and I get up, I got my beer in my hand, prop myself up.
He
catch the
literally
ball.
said, "Hold my beer," and pass it.
That's probably where
Yeah.
it started from.
And he goes, and I think we had two or three different putters. And I just grabbed one and he goes, "Which putter you want?" And I said, "This one's fine."
This one will do it.
Oh, that was so much fun.
I watched that entire video because Mike had reposted his memories of it, and I watched the entire thing enthralled with whatever's going to happen. How long was that putt, by the way? Was it 25?
How long did Johnny?
I'd say it was about 15 feet, but
But a downhill slider, though, like it's not like it's
on an elevated hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And, like,
camera.
It
the camera doesn't do it justice because it
a
literally
15-footer downhill slider that's gonna freaking.
Yeah. It like
There's
sits
no
on
way
this
to make
volcano
that
top.
putt unless
It's
you
like
do
volcano
exactly
top
what
where
we did.
like if it's here, it slides off. You got 10 feet that way. If it slides here, it goes down the hill. You got 20 feet back up
Yeah,
the
it's a
hill.
freaking 3-foot breaker you got to swat through, and it's a downhiller. That's that's pretty much impossible.
Jars it, high five, sits down, takes his beer back.
That's so cool.
Anything
That's-
else? What else? Can
I think
do?
I may have invited everybody inside for a shot because nothing was topping that moment.
Yeah,
Right.
that may have happened.
Dude, that's such a baller.
Maybe I
move.
sang some karaoke after.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Such a baller move, dude. Just
Oh.
Rob, I know we're getting down to crunch time here. I know we had the late start, and I don't want to, Marshall, I don't want to keep you too long. Do you have anything else for our absolutely treasured guest?
just a question that you always ask, Marshall. What is your favorite ball of all time?
Of all time.
Yes.
Well, I'd have to say of all time now it's the GB4 hybrid, right? I mean,
Wow.
We got, yeah, that just changed this year. My answer would have been different 6 months ago.
All right.
Okay, what would it have been 6 months ago?
God, probably the original High Road. I'd have to say.
Two pretty good picks.
Yeah.
So it's
I
safe
think-
to say you like that motion,
Yeah, I think it's a pretty safe bet.
but you also like the Stealth Solid, which I
Oh
also
man,
like.
so good. The ball's so good. Such
Were you a
good
fan
one.
of the Widow 2.0?
The hybrid? Yeah, I didn't throw the original one much, but the hybrid's been in my bag everywhere too.
Nice. It's such
Yeah.
a sweet.
So I
looking ball.
basically have like five now go-tos is the MV Tour, the Widow Hybrid 2.0, the GB5 Stealth, and GB4 Hybrid.
Nice.
So basically those are the 5 balls in my bag, and if some freak thing happens where I feel like I need to drill another one, I'll just go drill an odd ball. But those 5 balls go with me everywhere I go.
Have you thrown a vibe yet?
Which one?
What's the pretty?
The Arctic.
Yeah.
I actually have to punch mine up. I've got one sitting at the front door.
I got to drill mine too, man, but it's so goddamn beautiful.
It's a sexy looking ball. Yeah.
I'm almost afraid to throw it because it's just so pretty.
It's too pretty.
It's so pretty. Just gonna put it on a wall and just stare at it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And then drill a radioactive vibe and say, "This is. I swear, this is an Arctic."
It's so yellow.
Yeah.
Well, Marshall, thank you for being here, brother.
Thank
We
you
don't know
so
how
much.
you're finished, but I mean, we'll just say you good luck in the playoffs, regardless of how you finish. And a hell of a fucking year, dude. Congrats on the TOC. Congrats on Illinois. And you're only 31, dude. You got a lot of time left. You got 7 titles now. You should have had 8. I still kind of call bullshit on that one. You won as an amateur, but
and you've already got the greatest head ever on your shoulders, which is why you're going to be one of the greatest for a long time, dude. Pleasure to call you a friend.
Love you, brother. Thank you so much, man.
Love you too, man.
Great. It's great seeing you guys. It was awesome. And thanks for having me on again. That was a blast.
Anytime, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Tournament of Champions winner for 2024, the great Marshall Kent.
Thanks, Marshall. We appreciate it, brother.
Nice ring to it. So thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care, bud. Thank you.
Take care, man.
All righty.
I want to spend. I want to talk about him for a little while, but before we do that,
I'm going to
make a promise to another very dear friend, and I told him 9:30, and because of the screwing of the tornadoes and keeping you and your family safe, I'll give the intro here since I'm assuming we don't have a highlight reel.
I don't.
Here's where the highlight reels. Oh, you do have a highlight reel?
No, I don't. I'm going to send him the link here because I have.
I will give a highlight reel from my end. You don't find many real people throughout your life, and aside from people like Marshall, the next man we're bringing on for as long as he wants to be here with us tonight is a very dear friend of mine for nearly 30 years, who has never changed a lick in the entire time that I've known him. And we just want to bring him on for all of you guys out here in New Jersey who are interested in looking for something competitive to bowl in the summer. I know a lot of people, shy away from bowling in the summer because either there's not enough money, you want to be out at the beach, you want to be doing something else while the weather's nice here. But back in good old Vegas, people bowl all year. And this gentleman we're about to bring on is doing everything he can to kind of bring that flavor back to New Jersey. And I just wanted to bring him in here for a little while. So
I just sent him the link, but while he gets in here, dude, I can't say enough good things about Marshall. I mean, it's remarkable, like what he's been able to overcome. Like we said, having that success early, going through a 7-year drought, coming back as a fucking baller, dude, just winning 2 titles, one of them being a major, being in the playoffs, and have a chance at maybe Player of the Year. I mean, it's just
his mentality is right. His focus and his drive and his commitment to his craft are all in line. And he's so goddamn down to earth, dude. Like, comparatively speaking, for me, he has the mentality of Robert Smith or Troy Lind.
Good
He has that frame of mind where whatever he's told to do, he does it with no fight. He's just great. He's just great. And I can't say anything but amazing things about him. I jump in front of a bullet for that kid like there's no tomorrow. He's just a good man. He's just a good man.
He is. And I'm looking forward to see how he did. And like we said, they already taped the show, which I don't know why.
Yeah, no spoilers here. And I mean, you want to show favoritism to somebody, I would assume coming off the high of that, his swing's got to be a little bit free now. Hey, may as well collect another huge check.
Yeah, no shit. Right. Exactly.
And anybody can beat anybody in a 1-game match. So
that's true. That's true. Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate it.
And while we're waiting for Joe, as long as we still have him, and again, we try and say this every single week, but like, it really is me, myself, Rob, and Ocho. We do this not only for the love of the game, but we've done this for 100-something consecutive episodes because of you guys and girls.
Yes, absolutely right.
You make Wednesday nights fun, and we just want to thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for always being here and always giving a shit about us. And unfortunately, 2 out of the 3 guys on the show, me and Ocho, have a little bit of ADHD. So every once in a while, we kind of forget or shy away from all the questions that are in the chat. And that's definitely something that I have to work on. Not necessarily Ocho, but I definitely have to work on. So just want to apologize for that. But in the same respect, thank you guys for still always being here. It's awesome. And no matter where we are, where we broadcast from, what we do, we always have the backing and the support of the bowling community. And
I'll take a lot of the blame of that too, because I'm supposed to be steering the ship, and I have my own questions I'm trying to get in, and I'm not trying to ignore our amazing listeners and watchers either. It's something we all have to work on. What else I'll say? 50%.
Rob, without you, we can't do shit. I'll say
agree.
that back to you. Oh, my good friend Zelle. There you go, Rob.
50% wings and sandwich bundle on DoorDash for Popeyes. 2 chicken sandwiches, 12 wings, large side for $12.
Get him, Zelle.
For the pro
Get him,
tip.
Zelle.
Thank you for the pro tip there. I'll probably be taking you up on that tomorrow for lunch. Dude, like I said before, you've reignited my passion for bowling that was gone for a long time when you decided that you want to do a project with me. And I have to thank you for that. And when we made the decision to do our show live every week, it kind of sparked all of us, right? Like all three of us to just put on a fucking banger of a show every single week because we knew people were tuning in to watch us and interact. And we have the best fans here. And we have the great interaction with everybody. All of our watchers and listeners are so smart and always ask great questions. And to have this, the support from pros that watch our show, like what better, what's the word I'm looking for? Not recommendation, but I mean, it's just like I can't even think. I'm retarded sometimes.
No, come on. Let's find this. I feel like this is a good thing. What are you trying to get at?
To have guys like Troy in the chat all the time and Fancy Williams, it's almost like they're signing off on our show as legit. Like it's not just a half-ass fucking, because there's a million podcasts out there, right? Like
I think what you're trying to say, and what I also agree with, is legends in our sport in any aspect, whether it's bowling, whether it's Compass Sportswear, whether it's meritorious service. I mean, everybody that's in our chat is here because I think that the one thing that our show does bring out is we bring out the people that are just not afraid to be in their own skin,
right?
Because we're not afraid to be in our own skin. I'm a fucking nutcase, have been for my entire life, but I still have a lot of people that I can call friends.
Yeah,
you're fucking out of your mind. Ocho's obviously out of his mind. Doesn't even want people to know what his face looks like. But no, I think we're a good mix of stupid, serious, and also intelligent. And if you bring those three things together, and I mean that makes for a pretty good mix.
And we're real about everything. Like we're not trying to tout our brands or push bowling balls or anything like that. Like we're just talking about what we love.
Credit where it's deserved, and we
call bullshit when we see it,
and we do a good job of it. I think so.
I think endorsement was the word I was looking for. What better endorsement from pros of the industry that come
Rob,
to watch us?
I don't want to put you on the spot here, but
Okay.
I think we lost Joe.
All right.
But I did also make a promise to Joe, and I feel like he may have posted a picture on the Straight Up 5 page. So the least I can do is read what he sent to me, and we can put that up.
Sure thing.
And this goes to all of our New Jersey natives looking for something to bowl coming up in the summer. So this comes straight from Joe Lamp's ears. In case anybody wants to check out the Lamp view and ever wants to get fucking, dicked when they're on the front 9 or front 10, just bowl at Majestic and have Joe film you from the upper stairs. But our good friend Joe Lamp is one of the leaders for an upcoming four-person team at Strathmore Lanes with an 860 cap this coming Wednesday night for the summer season. It's going to be Wednesday nights at Strathmore Lanes. Starting time is 7:30 p.m. 4-person, and the handicap scratch or the team entering is 860. There will be pots, brackets, etc., all available. 10 teams so far with 44 lanes available. And he's looking for help. He's looking for people that would like to do something on Wednesday nights. And the only reason that I had to tell Joe that I can't is I don't want to screw all you guys out of moving our show. But it's the weighted composite average for the last 2 years, X League format. For those of you that don't know about the X League, I'm not the man to ask because I don't bowl X League, but I'm assuming it's close to UBA in the respect that it's either teams of threes across 3 different pairs, so 9 guys total, Anybody that wants to comment about that, please help me out. And I do feel like we may have had Joe Lamp on earlier, but, we understand that things happen. But, again, I also promised that I would do this for him. So if anybody wants any more info, check out this shit. Oh, wait a minute. We're backwards. How the hell do I get there? Damn it, I can't do it. How do I make my finger? Oh, there it is. If anybody is curious, that looks good. That looks good, John.
It actually does look good.
Well, thank you very much. I played golf yesterday, so I got the damn it, wrong arm. I got the the tan working. Oh my God, that's horrible. That's horrible. What is that? That's not.
That never gets old. That will never, ever, ever get old. It would I promise we'll have Joe on the show as well. Like maybe if we can get him on.
We'll get Joe, but I at least had to do that. And huge shout out to George Hart for making the connection, even though I would have always done it for Joe. And George, just so you know, it's been like 2 months, man. Look at this shit.
Yeah, it's about time.
This is gross, dude. I mean, it's kind of hot in like some respects, but it's too hot to have this much hair.
Well, my daughter wants. Yes, sweetheart. What would you like? What can I do for you? We're not live.
I think that might be it then tonight. We did go a solid hour and 40 minutes. And
I do have an imbecile. If we
want wait,
real quick.
Gladly.
We can't forget to do that. All right, here we go.
Let's do it.
It's time for everybody's favorite segment.
If you guys don't know how to use a seatbelt, just ring your call button and Tommy will come back there and hit you on the head with a tack hammer.
Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
Here's the imbecile of the week.
Some people are really stupid.
All right, this week's imbecile comes to us from the Bowling Science Group on Facebook. They are the gift that keeps on giving all year long. This was a post that I found today from David G. Stroud, and I will read it out to you guys if you're listening on the audio podcast. I have always been a one-ball bowler, forcing myself to adapt to whatever conditions I find at the lanes. I have a couple different ways of going after the 10-pin. I'm right-handed. And if I throw the ball from the right spot to the right spot at the right speed, I make it. Duh. We all do. I believe that in a rational world, tournaments would insist that bowlers use a single ball and make everyone adapt. Why should one bowler have an advantage because he happens to have just the right ball for a certain oil condition? The only reason it is not this way, my opinion, is that the companies and houses that make and sell bowling balls, I don't know any houses that make bowling balls, but whatever, want to encourage the false belief that you can buy yourself a better game. You can't. I have spoken. By the way, I can't even tell you what kind of ball I use. It was a gift from my cousin who is a good bowler. My average ranges from 185 to 195. Now, I don't have the comments from the chat, but you can see 122 people lit his ass up. Johnny, your thoughts on that statement?
Well, David, if you're shooting 10 pins from 3 different spots, again, I always try and be rational with, I guess, people that just are ignorant. I guess it's the best way.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, sweetheart.
You say hi to Johnny?
Hi, little Francois.
Oh, she just hit.
Most professionals, if you ever actually watch professional bowling, they always shoot their corner pins the same. Always. Pete Weber shoots a 10 pin standing in the same spot on almost any condition. Now, let's say Pete Weber is shooting a 10 pin on Cheetah, which is, say, 35 feet compared to Shark, which is 47 feet. Pete Weber's feet will probably stay in the same exact spot, but the only difference is if he's on Shark, the 47-footer, his ball may hydroplane an extra 2 feet en route to the 60 feet from the foul line to the 10 pin. If he's on Cheetah, he may have to be aware that if he grabs it a little bit too much, it may want to hook a split second sooner. So he may throw it a little bit harder on Cheetah. He may cheat his eyes a couple boards further right on Cheetah compared to Shark when he's shooting it. But his angle is always exactly the same.
Right.
Guys like Walter Ray and Norm Duke who throw the ball dead end over end when they shoot a spare ball, they always stand and look in the exact same spot, and they make every one that they shoot at. So if you want to talk about bowling trying to take your money, you probably shouldn't bring up spare shooting as your first line of business. If you want to say that the bowling world is trying to keep up with the bowlers that are involved, so they keep creating new awesome products the same way every other sport does, whether it's a softball bat, a baseball bat, a golf club, a golf ball, like how different is the new Pro V1X that has lines going both directions than the old Pro V1X that has black lines?
Yep.
Maybe the urethane is a little bit, has a little bit more longevity. Maybe the cover lasts longer. Maybe it's this, whatever it is. You want to talk about that. That's one level. But when we're talking about drilling a $100 plastic ball or something from your local pro shop to simply touch the last pin that you leave standing, I don't think the bowling world is trying to steal that from you. If anything, they're trying to make sure that their products don't crack as easily as they used to. You see this happen with pro shop operators across the globe. They shy people away from drilling the 6-pounders and the 8-pounders if they think they can handle a 10-pounder, simply because they can not only handle it, but it's not going to crack as quickly.
Right.
They're not trying to steal your money with entry-level bowling balls, David. So for the 122 people that talk to you, somehow, some way, I feel like the imbecile of the week recently, Rob, with what you're searching, is more of like an instructional thing for people that are unaware of like what really goes on. So,
except for that chick last week that went to a restaurant.
Yeah, once in a while we get a real piece of shit, but David is not one of those, so I'm not going to shit on David. But I will tell David that stop listening to outsiders or your own brain for that matter. The only imbecile of the week I'll say right now is if you decided to think about this on your own, because that's just, I'm going to give you a comparison. I'm going to use my dad right now. I'm not going to call my dad the imbecile of the week, but I am going to give you a comparison.
No.
My dad's been going to the same cleaners because my dad gets his pants pressed and like cleaned at a dry cleaners. And he's done that for like 40 years. And the same guy he's used for the last 12, 13 years, he came home and he goes, I'm never going there again. I said, why? He goes, he wants to charge me $8 for my pants. It used to be $6. And he's not just going to snag an extra $2 from me because he feels like it, that piece of shit. And I said to my dad, I said, how many other places did you go around town that still charge $6? Like, how do you know if the guy that owns that cleaners, his rent went up $400 this month? So he's charging an extra $2 per pants. Like, don't take it personally. I promise you, these companies are not out there to take your money. What they're also trying to do is the exact same thing we're all trying to do, especially in this day and age. They're trying to survive, trying to stay afloat, and figure out a way to live within the means they've been living with for however many years. So I asked my dad, I'm like, how many other places did you go to find out what they're charging? He said, well, I didn't go anywhere yet. So like, don't spit shit until you figure out shit.
Right.
But David, yeah, everybody has to adapt. Everybody's got to figure out how to do it. But when it comes to spare shooting and plastic bowling balls, all the other bowling balls, they're trying to build a bowling ball arsenal for everybody that cares enough about this sport to get better at it and also keep them afloat. And they haven't really changed prices that much for bowling balls. In the last 30 years, the most expensive bowling ball ever was the Helix Quantum. It was $299. This is leaving lane 1 bowling balls and lane masters shit aside, like the real specialty novelties or even the overseas balls that you would want to get.
Well, dude, the original 4th green Quantum in my pro shop was $210.
That's what I mean. Is like,
yeah,
and
nowadays,
nowadays,
money back then too,
the only thing that's really changed is the labor to drill it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And even there, I mean, because what's a pro shop operator going to do if they're spending $137 on a high-end bowling ball that's on the wall for $179?
Right.
They have to stock all those bowling balls and all those different weights. They have to get all those different balls from all those different manufacturers. And they also have to pay rent, and they also have to provide a living for their families too.
Yep.
You have no problem walking into Dick's or the PGA Superstore, and the same driver that was $199 in 2006 is now $499 today.
Right.
What's really the difference in technology? Oh, the new Callaway driver has 7 points of contact that is now the sweet spot. This is now you're going to gain 10 more yards, 10 more yards. Yeah, great. Enjoy your 10 more yards when you're going out playing with your buddies, having fucking beers on a Sunday. And then come back and say, oh, I shot 88 today. No, you didn't. You probably picked up every 4-foot putt and pulled it out of the weeds and said, oh, there's an impediment here. There's this and that. And what is it all worth? It's worth nothing.
Yeah.
So don't read too much into it. I can talk about this all day, every day, but I promise you bowling manufacturers are not trying to scumbag you. The same way pro shop operators that take your bowling balls when you say, oh, the ball return gave me this crack in my thumb hole of my bowling ball that I've had for 14 years, which you can read by the serial number, so I need a new one. That's the part that's a little bit poopy.
And I thought he's a little bit snarky saying, like, if you're good, you can just use one ball and you don't have to buy a bunch. Like,
that's also bullshit. If you're good in golf, as long as you hit it straight, you're going to win, right?
Right, yeah, right.
Not. As long as you hit it straight, hook it, curve it, slice it, be gentle, putt. If you can do all those things together and then adapt to every single course you play on, then yeah. But yeah, no. Don't make it too broad, David.
And if you don't know the name of the ball you use and you only average 185 to 195, chances are you may need some more bowling balls. And you might.
Or your name is Ocho.
Or your name is Ocho, yeah.
Right.
But at least Ocho averages 219. So, I mean, this guy's got a ways to go. All right, guys, that wraps up.
Good pick,
yes, no, and I like your opinion on that because I would have shredded him. But,
absolutely,
that's why you are who you are, and that's why we love you.
We have to excuse Ocho's false say goodnight for him.
Yes,
Gabriella is angry right now,
and my kid is biting me, so she wants me to go.
Gabriella is angry, so you have to go take care of it. He's also concerned about the temperature in his house, which I have no problem with.
Of course not,
but he does.
You're comfortable all year long.
I am. It's also 30 degrees cooler here than around this time in Vegas, even though it was 55 today in Vegas and windy.
Isn't that weird? That's really weird. Like it's hotter. Yeah, that's funny. Not sure what we're doing next week. I'm sure maybe we'll pull somebody up, or but we're gonna have a lot to talk about with the PBA playoffs and whatnot. And we always come up with a show, regardless of if we have a guest or not. We are not guest dependent, but it's always nice to have the best in the world on our show. And that was Marshall Kent tonight. And we thank him again for coming on. For Ocho and Johnny, I am wrapped up. We will we'll see you guys next week. And Doc Sullivan, I can't say it because my daughter's in the room.
Oh, and for Joe Lamb, guys, check out.
Yes.
If you guys want any more information on that, contact myself or Joe Lamb about the yes, thank you. One more time. The Wednesday night scratch. Damn it. No, how does this work?
Right
this way. I have to point. This is so ass backwards. In case you're curious about bowling, something that's actually worth it in the Jersey area over the summer, this is the guy to talk to. You can call me for any additional info. Sorry we missed you, Joe Lamp, but hopefully you come back and see that we actually give a shit about you. Oh, Jesus, real quick. I know it's late. Tony, rooting for you hardcore, brother. Rooting for you hardcore out here in New Jersey. Kick some ass in the Villages, dude. You're doing fantastic. All we need's John Rome. Shield. All right. Before you bring out anybody else's badass, we got to sign off now.
Again, Doc Sullivan, I can't say it, but you know what you need.